Paul tells us that all scripture is inspired by God and is useful. It is beneficial for us. This includes the book of Leviticus. In this book, we learn about the feasts of the Lord. One of the fall feasts, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. It is the most serious day in the calendar of Israel. 2/3 of the Jewish people are secular, not religious. They don't think too much about God. They do not attend weekly services, but every year they take off from work, take off from school, and attend services for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This is a day to receive atonement, cleansing, forgiveness of sin, and therefore many synagogues have services most of the day. The closing, final, last service is called Na'ilah, closing of the gates. Take a look at this prayer. Oh, keep open for us your gate of mercy at the time of the closing of the gate. Now that the day is waning, the day is passing, the sun is setting. Oh, let us enter your gate at last. Oh God, we beseech you, forgive, pardon, take pity, grant us atonement, subdue our sin and iniquity. Since this is the last hour or so of the day is ending, and so the city gates of Jerusalem are about to close, and the day of Yom Kippur is about to end. And so as this goes hand in hand, the picture of the closing of the gates reminds the people this day is closing, this day is ending, and the gates of heaven, they are trying to convey to the people that the gates of heaven will be closing. This is the last chance to enter the gates, and so therefore cry out to God to get forgiveness of sins. And so the theme is enter the gates before it's too late, before it closes. It's not only the theme of this Na'ilah service, but this theme of the gates of heaven is also taught about in the New Testament. Let's take a look at Matthew 7. Heaven can be entered only through the narrow gate. The highway to hell is broad, and its gate is wide enough for all the multitudes who choose its easy way. But the gateway to life is small, and the road is narrow, and only a few ever find it. This is one of only 2 feast days in which most Jewish people attend a service. They're thinking about sin. They're thinking about heaven. They're thinking about the gates of heaven and what can they do to enter the gates of heaven. Christians, all disciples of Jesus, you need to learn about Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and in particular the Na'ilah service, the closing of the gates, so that you can have a conversation with your Jewish friends, neighbors, and co-workers, asking them, do they believe there are gates to heaven? Do they believe the gates always stay open, or will they close? What do they need to do to enter the gates? You need to be prepared to answer these questions, to ask them and to answer them, and to show them then what the Na'ilah service talks about, and then bring them to Matthew 7 and other scriptures in the New Testament. Tell them, listen, there's an easy road. Don't worry about anything, but that road does not lead to heaven. The road to heaven is narrow, and the gate itself is narrow. Yeshua is also the gate itself, and you need to be prepared and able to share this with your friends. And another reason to learn about the Day of Atonement and Na'ilah, the closing of the gates, is to make sure that you are walking on the narrow road. Not everyone here in this service or study today is guaranteed to be walking on the narrow road, which is the only road that leads to life, that leads into heaven. And I hope that you listening will have an open heart, open ears to hear the words of the scriptures so that you can turn around if needed and go to the narrow road and then find your way to the narrow gate, Jesus, so that you may enter and live forever with God.